Today's episode is brought to you by Fire Facilities. Make training count with their custom-made all-steel live fire training facilities. Their made-in-the-USA towers and burn rooms are the best for preparing, responding, and surviving the challenges you face every day. I wonder if I should start talking. I'm recording. I think I should start talking. Hey, welcome back to 3-Point Firefighter. We're at FDIC 2024, and we're kicking off. As you know, we do many podcasts right here at FDIC, and I had to kick it off with one of my favorite people, Matt Hopple. Now, Matt was on our podcast a couple years ago, but the audio was so bad because I'm horrible at my job, I couldn't use it. So I couldn't think of anybody better to kick it off with. Matt Hopple. Hey, brother, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm doing wonderful. So Matt is a live fire instructor, and the reason I want to talk to him today was he's burned in all kinds of buildings. Hopefully he's burned in some beautiful fire facilities buildings, right? So when you go around the country teaching live fire and you see the different type of burn buildings, what are the things that you are looking for when it comes to actually doing the training in there?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're very fortunate to get out and see all the different structures.
Mm-hmm.
I think first and foremost is the customer satisfied.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah. We work with the host. They made a pretty big investment in it, mm-hmm. So their words speak miles. Just because we can see a nice, shiny structure when we show up, but unless they're happy with their product, so what they have to say with it right out the gates, light and day tells us about the facility.
I see what you're saying, and I tell you, I don't want to name my old department, and I don't want to name who made ours, but about 12 years ago, we got just C-cans. It was a company that put them together. Now, I have no trouble with C-cans, but I do feel like they're sort of limited in space, and everybody knows exactly where it is. But the customer service was absolutely horrible. And you're without good customer service, and you're really limited on what you can do with that tower. I know, got to brag on fire facilities, they're a one-stop shop, right? So let's say you're just talking about getting a burn building. You can call them from step one, and they're going to walk you through the grant process, doing environmental studies, make sure that, they're there for the whole time, and it doesn't stop when you open it up. They're always there for stuff like that. What do you think when you burn in, like, say, a concrete, like the old concrete buildings when you came in the fire service, everything was concrete, right?
Yep.
Concrete versus what you're seeing today, what's the biggest differences?
Well, it's heat retention inside the facility itself. I mean, just the way, as we burn throughout the day, how the facility reacts to that. I think that's one of the downsides of the C-cans. They just get hot. There's really not a lot of control in that area. They're very comfortable. By the end of the day, you don't have a lot of control about the heat that's in them.
Right.
And that's one thing about fire facilities, of just their insulation system. Mm-hmm. I'm told that over and over as we go to these different facilities. I look at the structure, you walk in and you know immediately, is your investment protected?
Right.
They take a lot of heat, they take a lot of abuse, and if it's something that can't last, and it's just not built right from the beginning, it's just a bad investment. And customer service, I cannot. I don't care what you buy. You can buy the Mercedes, and if you don't have customer service, it's worthless. The product's worthless to you.
I like what you said about the panels. What's nice about it, so like for me, the concrete always chips and spalls, it seems like. Because let's be honest, firefighters are going to push the limits of whatever they're burning.
Absolutely.
And when you're dealing with like a concrete building, you're going to get the chipping and the spalling. And then, if you follow 1403, you got to get inspected every 5 years if it's Class A, every 10 years if it's Class B. And I wonder how many people actually do that. I know fire facilities actually will come out and inspect too as part of their
so that was one of the pluses. I have a good friend up in Alaska that has your facilities, mm-hmm. And that inspection program, you truly understand 1403. That's one of the biggest challenges, is finding somebody that's going to sign off on your facility,
right,
and fully comply with 1403. And you guys offer that. You offer it for every different level, every inspection. You come in. That tells me something about your product.
Right.
I mean, if they're willing to come in and sign off on and give you that inspection and let you know what needs to be done, in today's world, that's priceless.
It is, and it's again. I keep coming back to one-stop shop. I'm not trying to push that, but what I like about that is, as your burn facility ages, you want to change and make sure everything's good. The West Tech lining system is one of the best, and if you push those limits, I think they take up to 1,800 degrees, which you're not going to have an 1,800-degree fire, hopefully, but they can take it. But then you just have to replace tiles or panels, as opposed to having to redo the entire concrete structure.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's your favorite? It doesn't have to be fire facilities. What's your favorite tower that you don't have to name the company, but maybe the fire department, so where that you're at?
What I seen this week out at Indy.
That's a fire facilities. Yeah, the commissioner.
Facility.
Yeah, that is one of my favorites as well. There's one down in Bentonville we talked about that is like the biggest there is, and it's the commissioner model, but it's like I think 8 feet wide or 8 feet longer. It's a beast.
Right.
I tell you one of the things I've seen. The one down in Bentonville, I don't know if IFD has it, but they have a car burning prop that you can push in the garage of the building or pull it out.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I don't think they have it out here, but I've definitely heard about that. That's a good design.
Cool.
That is cool. I mean, we have a lot of those fires. A lot
Yeah.
of vehicles in garage. A lot of garage fires. I mean, it's thinking outside the box, and that's just the way the facility's made. You can do so many different things in it, not just burning.
Oh yeah.
You have so many options, and that's a big difference. But as I walk through all the different facilities we burn in, you see the thought process that went into them, and I think with fire facilities, they go above and beyond, and they can offer you. I mean, you can look it up and see what they have to offer. I mean, just all the different configurations. You know, everyone's different. You know, the model's the same, but people do different things.
Yeah, you don't want to have the exact same thing over and over. Every department's going to want something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And with so many electric vehicles nowadays, having fires from cars inside buildings, I think, is going to get a little bit higher. So you're going to want to have that practice, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize how pretty I was. I am handsome dude.
You are.
Yeah. My wife is so mean, though. I don't know if you've met her. Mean woman. Oh, there she is. Hey, sweetie. I tell you, I have no trouble with the C-can style. I think they serve a purpose. There's a market for them. My biggest thing is that you know every inch of that facility the first time you're in there. You know, you can't really mix them up a little bit. I like that you can do that. There's me and Gilbert, another live fire instructor, we went down to Sierra Vista, Arizona. And they have a smaller model. Let's see if I can find it. But it's, we went in there and we were doing our day one stuff, or our setup day stuff, walking through the burn building. And it was a fire facilities burn building. And it looked pretty new. And it was 30 years old. It was 30 years old. As Caleb Mousy, shout out to Chief Caleb Mousy. I was like, there's no way. He's like, oh, yeah, it's that old. And then he's actually adding on to it. So that's another thing about fire facilities. You can have their main unit, but you can always add on to it.
Right.
So let's see. What's the last place you went and did some live burns?
Where's the last place? Canada. I think it was in Canada. I'm heading to Jackson Hole here next month, but up in Canada. I can't remember what facility they had. I want to say it was a fire facility that was in Ontario. Cannot remember, but going back, actually I was in Alaska. We were doing something that wasn't a 1403 class, but we tried to one of their facilities. I was telling you, they have fire facilities. Back to your 30-year thing, I went out, I think he's got a deputy fire chief out there, and walked in it, and he actually got a second one, so they're building an entire separate, and they just finished it for their conference this year. There's going to be a last fire conference.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I could not believe the facility that he was upgrading was 20 years old. It looked brand new. We walked out on the training grounds, and it's like, oh, you guys got a new facility. And he's like, no, it's 20 years old, and we're buying another one. So, I mean, that tells you something, just that longevity piece. And it also tells you something if you have a facility that's 20 years old and he's investing in the same product 20 years later, that speaks volumes.
It does. And I mean, I believe you can, I always say that you can't train enough for a job that can kill you. And I didn't come up with that, but I love that saying. Yeah. And you have to have the right tools. You have to empower your firefighters with the right tools, the right training, if you want them to be able to protect the community. You can't just, we have that video in our 1403 class of the RV that they're burning, and they use a gas blower and everything, or an electric blower to make the fire worse. And you honestly got to look at that and go, okay, risk versus gain. What kind of training are you really doing for your people? And if you want to train, if you really care about your community, and if you absolutely care about your brothers and sisters that work for you, you have to give them the best tools. You just have to. Yeah.
And when we set up objectives and we develop our class, we have objectives that we're going to teach you. I don't want to worry about the structure that I'm in. You look at that RV, it's like, what could have been wrong there? But if you're worried about your structure, it just takes that piece out of the way that you're trying to accomplish that objective. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a safe facility, a facility that's built and designed to do the training that you're doing, that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Absolutely. Brother, I appreciate you taking some of your time out of FDIC to come here.
Appreciate you having me over here.
Big fan, you know that. You always get so embarrassed when I say that. You're one of my all-time favorites, and definitely one of the best instructors I've ever worked with.
Right back at you.
Brother, you're the best. Back again, because Matt was telling me something that I thought was awesome. We were talking about including your family with the fire service. And what is it you do with your new recruits?
So one thing I think we've missed in the fire service is you come into this occupation and we do nothing to let the family know what their loved one's going to be getting into. We talked about that you have two families. You have the fire service family and your family at home. And as we were just talking, it needs to be one family. And so we want to instill that in them and so they can understand what their spouse is doing, mm-hmm. what their occupation is, what support is available to them. But we just want them to know that we value them as family just as much as the people we work with. So we bring kids, wives in for a day. One, they get to know the job, what to expect. From the mental health standpoint too, what to expect there when your wife comes home. How to deal with that, what resources are available to them for that, and just getting them involved. And we're doing that more and more. I just didn't like the whole I've got two different families.
Right.
It needs to be one.
You're absolutely right. That is so cool. You're investing in your people. You're investing in your people from day one. You're setting them up for success. And so would I be wrong in guessing that your culture is actually probably pretty good in Billings?
Oh, absolutely.
And do you think that it has to do with how you're incorporating everything family-wise into the fire service there?
Yeah, I think it's just good for overall mental health of everybody. You got a happy home life. You're gonna be a good product at work.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you don't have that balance, that work-life balance, and I think this just helps that when you do that. So, and it's nice because you see the families just show up, and it wasn't that way when I was coming up in our department. It was like, don't have them here, don't want them here, and now you just see that cultural shift, and we just see better firemen.
I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, you don't want the two separate, I'm this way at work, I'm this way at home, and I know when I was met my lovely bride 20 years ago, and I was brand new at the department I was at, when our kids were off, for the weekend, she would come and we'd have a firehouse date. We'd watch a movie on a laptop, she'd bring dinner, and, we had a great time. And I think that was really nice to incorporate both those worlds because, I mean, when it goes good, it's nice to do that too, but when things are bad, like you said, you want to empower the family to know what to look for, and, plus they have an avenue. If something's going wrong with their spouse, they can probably reach out to you, probably maybe to where you can.
We give them the tools. They said, this is everything that's available to you. Everything that's available to your spouse is available to you through our department.
All right, one last question. If Billings, Montana, and Big Sky, Montana, got to fight, who would win?
That's an easy one.
It's going to be Billings, isn't it? It's going to be Billings. Fellas, you heard it here. Billings, Montana.
Now, if they took Seth Barker out of that,
never heard of it. Back with our second FDIC mini podcast. Today I have Chris Hubbard. Chris Hubbard's a wonderful friend of mine too, just like Matt Hopple. I've worked with Chris for several years now. He is a 1403 instructor. He's burned in probably every kind of building you can imagine. He's actually one of the founding fathers of the ISFSI 1403, right?
Yeah, one of the original guys. There were a handful ahead of me that helped kind of get it up and running. But yeah,
Tell me about that. I want to know about how that got started, the whole 1403 program.
good question. I think it really did originate from a desire that from the membership, from the community, from across the country of education solely on live fire training and trying to get as compliant with the standard as possible. And I started out with a couple of dedicated board members that wanted to kind of see that project all the way through. Started out maybe even 4 and 5 days long, like a week-long class. There was a lot of classroom, a lot of death by PowerPoint, and over time, listening to the students' feedback, the program ended up being tailored to what we have now, being that hybrid format. Obviously, some folks can get a head start at home from advanced with some of that online learning management platform stuff. So I think it's landed in a great place.
I think so too. I think it's I brag on it all the time. Of course, we're instructors for it, so it's easy for us to brag on it. But I think it's necessary. I think to keep our brothers and sisters safe and trained correctly, we need to follow every last step of that. We probably got to talk about this stuff here, right? Our facility.
Absolutely.
When you first got into fire service, describe like one of the first towers that you got to go burn in.
The first place that I had an opportunity to burn in was in our hometown in Hanover, and it was an original masonry building, no tile line, just straight up concrete. Like concrete doesn't burn, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be safe. That building was built in the mid '80s. I remember it having wooden doors, wooden windows. I would probably say zero safety features. And of course those things never last a long period of time. Ended up falling apart and had to be replaced several times actually. Yeah.
That was my experience as well. And one of the things I like to talk about is, firefighters, and I know you've seen this, when we build sets, we tend to overdo things, right? Maybe not you and me so much, right? We learn, we teach, but it's been my experience that firefighters will like really push the limits. And I've always said that the wheels come off at the end of the day. When nobody's gotten hurt, everybody's doing stuff. You still got like a few extra pallets and some straw, and you're like, you know what we ought to do? Let's let it eat. And in those old concrete buildings, I remember all the chipping and spalling that would happen with the concrete pop, they would pop off and stuff because all that moisture stuck in there would heat up and break down. One of the things I like about them, and I was talking about this with Matt Hopper, was their lining system, the West Tech lining system they have, which is patented. It's 30 years. And if I look back on it now, man, I'm telling you what, those towers that you and I have seen torn down and rebuilt so many times, you wouldn't have that. You would just have to redo liners, stuff like that. Out of all the places that you've burned, all the different towers, what do you think is your favorite, maybe your favorite part of a tower? And I'll give you an example of mine first, so I'll probably trip you up a little bit, or get your head thinking on this one, is I like when they're, like particularly in this, if you look in the commissioner model, and I'm sure they have other models, but the big wide open staircase in the middle, so you got this huge, they can't necessarily burn in the parts I'm talking about, it's just wide open. So you don't have that small confined room that you're really limited what you can do. I like the great big wide open, especially if you got open stairwells. When you look at fire training towers, what's one thing that you take? You're like, man, I love that. Wait, I got to do it like you. Man, I love that.
Yeah. Gotta have that southern draw.
Got that southern draw.
Gotta bring that in just a little bit.
For those listening, every time we teach together, we start the class with, I tell the students they need to close their eyes and listen to Chris talk, and it's like a Southern gentleman drinking a mint julep on a veranda. And then when I talk with my Southern Kentucky accent, you close your eyes, you can just see me arguing with the Walmart manager on how I should have as much damn Sudafed as I want. And two different Southern draws. His is way better. But I digress. What's your favorite part of some of the towers that you've seen?
This might be a little bit off from the example you're looking for, but I really do like the features that are associated with like the doors and the windows and them actually working.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I've ever encountered anything not working at our facility's location. Like, some of these places we go, it's like the door locking mechanism. Maybe it locks from the inside inappropriately. It's not friendly for them to get in and out of. The windows don't quite shut all the way because they've been weathered. They've been exposed to weather.
Yeah.
So we can't seal the building up. We can't ventilate. We can't do some of the the tactics that we're looking for because of that. And so I guess it's some of those little things that I pay attention to that seem to function well.
I like that. I like that. I like also if they have movable walls, like they have really good movable walls. I've seen some that are terrible. I've seen some that are great. But again, if I go back to that open space, if you have those tracks for the movable walls, you really can change that around a lot. So that's pretty cool.
Just having that feature is huge, right? At least with the masonry buildings, it's nowhere near possible to.
No, you got to make some really crappy walls, and then after one fire, they're kind of all warped and shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
We were our last class together. We were down in Houston, in Pearland, Texas. Big shout out to Pearland. You know I love you guys. And they had multiple training towers. They had a really nice fire facility tower, and they had a concrete tower. I forget who made that concrete tower, but we did most of our live burns in that one, and it held up. It has a place. It definitely has a place. But I really believe, going back to what we talked about earlier, if you're going to have that type of structure, you're going to have some way to do it. Because I was talking to Matt about the inspections. 5 years for Class A, 10-year inspection for Class B. Have you ever had to have inspections at your place yet?
Ours is brand new, so we haven't had it quite yet. But we've got it on cycle. Ours is a B building, and because it was built in conjunction with the state of Virginia, they're going to make us do it every 5, so a little bit prematurely because it involves some state funding. But that's
probably not a bad idea. I mean, those are minimums anyway. Right. So let's talk about that. What do you like better, Class B or Class A?
I think they both have their purpose. I will tell you as I get older, I'm paying more attention to these carcinogens and the effects of that. Those exposure levels, but you can also battle that very well if you have really good engineering and administrative controls to make sure that decon is done properly, to make sure we're rotating our instructors. So I think that answer really does depend. There's nothing wrong with a Class A building if it's managed appropriately and those different controls are put in place to rotate those folks accordingly, that you clean up right, everybody's using decon wipes. If it's done right, then I think it's an awesome learning environment.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I see a lot of value in Class B, but I see it more limited in Class A. I like what you're saying, though. I mean, we should have been doing decon as a fire service nationally for years, and it's not being done near enough, I don't think. But if you had it to where, one of the things I thought about on these buildings, if they had basically a sprinkler room, okay, right next to it. Okay. So you can use it for sprinkler stuff, but it's also a decon, so you can just turn them all on and walk through after every fire and get some type of decontamination going.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and you could even throw in truck brushes and soap if you wanted to, but I think that would minimize so much of the Class A. Class B, I tell you, my biggest gripe about Class B is the smoke. You don't have any smoke, and then everybody's like, well, you can put that sweet smoke in there. But sweet smoke is water-based, and it does the opposite of smoke.
She gone.
Yeah,
in a minute.
So, I mean, it serves a purpose, and I know, like, when I had brand new students, when I had brand new academy members, being able to control the environment that way and not have smoke so they could see fire, and kind of a little gut checkpoint at the very beginning, because, you don't know if they're brand new and they've never been in the fire department before. It's a great way to baptize them into fire and then step it up onto Class A.
Yeah.
I've seen some great Class B crops, but I've also seen, and I don't know if you've had this problem, but like where I was at, if you shot a stream just right into the rollover one, it quit working. You couldn't ignite it anymore. So, which made us as instructors go, okay, now go in and fight fire, but remember, even though it's coming there, don't hit it.
Yeah, there's definitely some technology issues associated with the B building, and in my experience is every department's got to have that resident expert. Somebody has got to be that senior person that is most knowledgeable about that building. So when that little quirk does that thing, or that fuse needs to be replaced, or that electrical trip, messes something up, then you've got to have that resident expert. I see a lot of turnover in the fire service. We all do. Mm-hmm. And you've got somebody that comes down to training. They're that lieutenant or captain, and they get everything situated. They're the resident expert, and then they get promoted. And so those are some of the challenges that I see. But if you can get around all of that, if you got the right personnel, and set some reps with the B building is good, everybody's getting nozzle time and there's not a lot of downtime. But again, pros and cons. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on in my old age and in being a 1403 instructor and just loving live fire in general? What I've learned, I've become a little, I don't know if it's considered too safe or not, but there's certain things I won't do in live fire, especially acquired structure. I know, we're talking acquired structure now, but let's talk about search and rescue in under fire, live fire, and so is that all that necessary, right? And I know a lot of people can argue about that, but I'm like, is that really what you need live fire for? Because if you're doing search and rescue under live fire, I'm not against it, but I don't think everything should be live fire. And one of them is kind of like that, and it kind of gets me kind of scared a little bit under acquired structure, because now you've got so many variables that could go wrong. And we teach about behind the duty desk and the case studies all the time, and it just kind of gets me kind of, so I try to limit what I do in live fire. What are the things that you think don't need to be taught under live fire that you could teach them without live fire? Any skills come to mind?
We had this discussion the other day, kind of like doing Mayday training. I mean, obviously we don't want to use live victims with any live fire training. I'll throw that out there. But, somebody was asking the other day, in fact, it may have been our class on the West Coast talking about, is it appropriate to do Mayday training under live fire conditions? And that might be not necessarily risky, but it's kind of intermingling two main objectives into one scenario that could be complicated. If you do, I think it's all about terminology. You've got to explain to your participants that that's what you're doing. That the goal for the day is when you hear this term, it's part of the training exercise. But I think for the default, I would veer away from doing any type of Mayday training under a live fire condition.
Yeah, and also I think it has to do with possibly the experience level, right? Search and rescue for salty dogs, heroes like ourselves, versus incumbent, brand new recruits doing search and rescue. I think there's some things there. I'm not against it. I'm telling you, man, I'm getting older. I'm getting a little more pussyfied, I guess. I'm just like scared to death of some of these things. And every time when we talk about Rachel Wilson in class, scares me to death. I mean, I have that every time we talk about that one, and then the one in Osceola. That video, I won't watch that video. I've seen it once or twice. It's tough. And you think about the responsibility a training officer has under live fire, and it's an awesome responsibility we have. I mean, there's
no doubt. You talked about how we appreciate things a little bit more as we age. And I think for me, that situational awareness knob gets turned up a little bit each year, and it makes us pay a little bit more attention to different things. But yeah, the good part about at least those particular two case studies you mentioned is they are beginning to get very old, which is great. Those occurred a long time ago, which is great.
We don't keep updating. We update our 1403 class a lot, but we have yet to update our case studies, and that is a great thing. I love that. That's good. I'm still
it's awesome. And, again, tying back into a fixed facility, most of the case studies that most of the line of duty deaths and the significant injuries that we're learning about, that we're sharing with people across the country, are taking place in acquireds and not in a fixed facility. So there's another reason number 82 to build something that is static and can be a safe environment and not with different dynamic issues that we encounter in acquireds.
Outstanding. Listen, I've been trying to get you on the podcast. I know you haven't been on there because I'm so handsome and it's going to make you look bad, but it means the world to me. You're an important person in my life. You're a fantastic instructor, and I'm proud to call you a friend. I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate the opportunity, man.
All right, welcome back. This is the third mini podcast today. You may recognize this handsome son of a bitch. It's Chris Wiggins. He's been on the podcast before. Tier 1 friend of mine, love him to death. Excellent firefighter, across the board, great guy, and he's burned in quite a few buildings. So I thought I'd pick his brain for some stuff here. Chris, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Fire facility is pretty cool. Love a lot of things that they got going on. Having the ability to go around and see the different facilities has been a pretty cool thing. And some big standouts that I look at and I notice are, the red steel, the skeleton more or less of the building. And it's pretty impressive stuff, to see it. You see towers like the size of the Indy Tower. The Indy Tower is beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. It's just cool seeing the building and always being able to evaluate the building by looking at the
absolutely
skeleton.
I couldn't agree with you more. And there's a lot of buildings out there that their structural stability is based on the outside of their building. They have a curved outside.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of that myself. I like how fire facilities is you can change the inside. I mean, and like you don't order like I want this one. It's like, hey, I want this one. Now, can you add this? Can you make this long? Can you make this wider? I like that kind of stuff. We actually, let's see, we worked together a few weeks ago. We did do live burns, but it wasn't in that other building. It was in the containers. What do you think about burning in containers? I've got an idea. I got a thought in my head about it. Not a huge fan, but tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, the container thing, if that's what you have, that's what you have. It's not preferred in my book. I wouldn't like that. This is my primary facility, that's for sure. It's to me, it's just I don't know. It's not the same thing. Anybody can go down a cube and put a fire out.
8x8x4.
Yeah, right. And when you actually have a building that's lifelike and you can do like VIS and all those different things and burn it all at the same time and have the structural stability and that your towers and all that. Like it's just a big difference, man. The boxes doesn't make sense to me.
I went with you on that one. Now I will say there's some companies out there do a really good job. I get a shout out to Todd Shepard. But by and large, though, I'm like you. I haven't seen a lot of great things out of them. Now they serve a purpose, but you're limiting yourself in the training. I think I like to have as many variables, many different things that I can change and add to my structure to make better training. It doesn't have to be live fire either. It could be just using sweet smoke, doing RIT training, whatever. So
yeah, I mean realistically, having conversations with Jesse Marcotte all the time about never heard of him. About like what's the ideal thing, and we always talk about it's like I mean, burning is not that big of a deal, man. You can get a lot more out of it if the facility is more like what you're going to on your job, right? You can get more out of it, and you don't have to burn to necessarily achieve that. So, I'd rather it be lifelike, man, instead of a box. Nothing against a training facility is better than no training facility.
yes,
It's just you want the best training facility.
all unprompted. I'm telling you, best guy in the world. So let's talk stuff that's not fire department. Anything. What do you want to talk about? Let me ask you this. I'm not a bourbon person, right? I don't have a palate for that stuff. Right? My lovely bride, she enjoys some every now and then. But if I was to give you $50, what would you buy for $50 that's a good bourbon?
Right now,
Only 50.
Yeah,
With tax.
that's a good question, man.
I can up it to 100 if you want, because we are going to go up in price.
Yeah.
So $100. I gave you $100. I said, buy me good bourbon.
What's cool is makers and their like you do the blend thing. So stores, liquor stores, punk stores, whatever you want to call them, country, they do their own blends. And they take different staves and they make it. You can normally get one of those for about $80-$90, and they're super good. And there's not two the same. There's 1,001 different combinations. Yeah, so it's pretty cool, man.
Now I'll give you $500.
We're gonna get away from bourbon. We're going to rye. We're gonna do Whistle Pig.
I heard you mention that.
Yeah, Whistle Pig, 18 year.
Okay.
Like 400 somewhere there.
All right, last one. You ready?
Yes, sir.
$2,000.
$2,000. A lot of people would say they're in Pappy range doing that. That's not. I like Pappy. I think it's great. For that kind of money, if I'm going to do something, I'm probably going to do like a Woodford Baccarat bottle. It's right about $2,000, a little bit more. That's good stuff, man. Super good stuff. If you ever get the chance to go to Woodford and take the tour, it's worth it. You can taste that Baccarat stuff right out of the barrel. They give it to you right out of the state.
That stuff kills me, man. I am not man enough to drink that stuff.
Yeah, you are.
My wife is.
She's the best.
Ashley?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She is. Right now, she's my producer, so she's keeping me on task here. So we have a buddy named Scott Wallace.
Yes, we do.
Okay, now we're going to play a multiple choice game here. You tell me what he would prefer to have: Whistle Pig, or Woodford Reserve, or Bush Light.
Bush Light.
Every time.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's got the same palate I do, I guess.
Yeah, for some of those bourbons, we can buy pallets of Bush Light for them. You know?
Bless his feet, make it hard.
Yeah.
So I tell you one of the things that, of course, I love you to death, but one of the things I love about you that I didn't know until we did our podcast was how involved you are with grants. Because to me, grants are like a whole other language. They are something that I see as just like the matrix, you know. I'm not getting it. Are you still doing a bunch of grant stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
So now, and you also, do you have a side hustle where you help people with grants?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to realistically just word of mouth stuff. I really don't put it out there too terribly much. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, think about the fire departments that you're helping that would not have the funds to get the stuff they're getting if it wasn't for you. So what's the hot thing right now?
I'd love to say training facilities, but that's just not really been a thing. I mean, PPE is pretty much the standard, like all the time. They actually just went through and did a lot of reduction on a lot of the stuff that they used to allow you to buy that you can't buy anymore, just from a streamlining perspective. And seeing that, like, all the fire act grants lost funding for next year, so it was reduced by 10%, roughly 10% total. So the money's getting thinner, you know. So I think it's
when you have the money, okay, let's say you can create a career for X amount of dollars. Do you necessarily have to look for some of the cheapest gear, or are you able to get some of the good gear?
No. So you do your you do a procurement how you would traditionally do a procurement. There's federal guidelines when you use federal money of how it has to be done, which is most people do to fall in line with that anyway as their practice in purchasing for their government entity. So, there's you go through your competitive bid process or your selection of what you want to do, and it doesn't have to be the cheapest thing. It could be what's the best thing. As long as you can articulate what the best thing is, you're fine.
Since you've done so much with these grants and you've had to really look over a ton of equipment as well, have you developed a taste for certain types of equipment? Like, oh, I won't use that, or this is really good, or is it changed?
I feel like I do a good job of doing this. I try to stay as unbiased with that as much as possible with things, especially when people ask, hey, do you believe in X brand of, SCBA? Well, what my response is that is a NFPA compliant air pack. You get an NFPA compliant. I try not to go down the road of playing favorites.
So I'm gonna throw something out there. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, I'm gonna be an old man now, right? I'm gonna be that old guy. I think what does pizza, toothbrushes, and razors and air packs all have in common? They've all gotten out of hand to me, right? I don't need pineapple on my pizza. I don't need 11 blades on my razor. What was the other one I said? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever. But I think air packs the same way. I think air packs, they're cramming so much into it. They're trying to, bring so much electronics into it. I really think that they're taking away from what it really needs to be doing. Now, again, I'm fully saying I'm a grumpy old man on that.
Yeah.
You're almost 19, going to be 20 next month.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
yep.
you're a young firefighter.
Yeah.
Do you think, are you going to call me an old man and I don't want to talk about it? Say it.
No, not at all. Actually, I do tend to I tend to agree with you that the technology is getting thick on a lot of things, but I think like anything else, if technology is properly incorporated, it's easy for the end user. Obviously, if the first year firefighter can't figure it out, no one's going to be able to figure it out because they're going to be the closest one in touch and doing stuff all the time.
That is a great point.
So if it can't be picked up on like that, I think we're probably missing the boat a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think gear has gotten that better. I think gear's gotten a lot better. Because obviously electronics, but I can see gear keep on trucking and with a lot of bells and whistles. Air packs, but not so much with ticks. I think ticks they're by definition a complicated electronic device anyway.
Right.
But SCBA's, man, I'm telling you, no bueno for me. I just want the old Scott, the wire back, and the old pass device that I always forget to turn on. That's what I'm a grumpy old man.
Yeah, you know, I do think that maybe that's a little too far back in air packs. However, you know, I think it's a good thing to dumb it back down a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Brother, I appreciate your time on here.
Yeah.
Love you to death. Come here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. You're the best, man.
Yeah.
That is Chris Wiggins, and neither one of us know who Jesse Marcotte is. Never heard of him. So this is going to be my last interview for FDIC 2024 here at the Fire Facilities booth. And I save the best for last, right? This is the new boss for Fire Facilities, Mr. Zach. Oh, shit. So I'm going to say Willard. I work with a guy named Zach Willard. Zach Willard. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Hey, good deal. So what do you think? First FDIC here or first FDIC as president of Fire Facilities?
Sure. First FDIC with Fire Facilities. Was here 5 times now. All the way back. Started in college. Actually ran Firefighter Combat Challenge out here a couple times, and then did it in Alabama a couple times too. Pretty excited to be here every year. Seems like more and more, bigger and better. Super excited to be here with Fire Facilities, and we've already got to meet a bunch of awesome customers that we've had. A lot of new faces too. Everyone loves us. We love them. We love spending time with them. So we always check in, see how their towers are doing. We love it.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about Fire Facilities is that the customer service. And I started out the very beginning of this podcast was with I believe Chris Hubbard. No, what's Matt? Let me redo that one. I'm glad you said that because when it comes to customer service, that's one of the number one things. I was talking earlier with Matt Hopple, and I asked him one of the favorite things about training towers that he likes, and I expected an answer like, certain hallways, the way the doors work, whatever, but he said customer service. And Fire Facilities is very customer service oriented, and it's a one-stop shop.
Right.
So if, Joe Blow here, and I want to get a tower, and I don't know the first thing about it, I don't know the process with the city, I don't know any of that stuff, I can literally pick up the phone and call Fire Facilities from day one, hour one, and you guys can help us go all the way through, not only to when it's done, delivered, and being burned, but way after that.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part about being with Fire Facilities. I come from a very customer service oriented background. I love our customer service here. All of our sales men are knowledgeable. We have a different sales process, right? So we have some typical towers listed in our brochures. But when you call us, we ask you what you want. We don't try to force something down your throat. We have everything customizable, custom steel fire training towers for your needs. So we want to work with everyone, whether it's a small volunteer department up to a large metro fire department. We've got something for everyone. You tell us what you want, we make it happen. Bring your creations to real.
I did one that I saw that was custom. It was a commissioner model down in Bentonville. It's Bentonville, Arkansas?
Yep.
And I think they made it 8 feet longer, 8 feet wider.
Yep.
And they added some other things to it too. And it was a beast. I've been 30 years. I've been in all kinds of towers.
Yep.
I walked in, they hadn't opened it yet. They didn't have their COE yet. So we got a quick tour. And I was getting lost walking in that tower.
Bentonville's a big one. Huntsville's a big one too. It's under construction right now.
Oh, really?
But that's a combined police and fire towers.
Yeah.
Come on now. It's 2 separate towers. But it's super nice for them to be able to work inter-department, working with each other as far as comms go. Huge issue when it comes to police and fire. It's super nice for them to be able to work together, obviously independently, but together at some facet to work on scene control.
They're great towers, and I don't say that just because you're my sponsor. You guys are my sponsor because I like your towers.
Right.
I've burned in bunches and bunches. I've burned in a lot of stuff, but I'm telling you, pound for pound, you're not going to beat Fire Facilities, customer service. And my favorite thing, I should say this is my favorite thing. It's built by firefighters for firefighters.
Right.
You have an in-house engineering team, and you have so many firefighters that are their sales managers and everything, that you don't have to try to explain what you want because they already know.
Right.
They've already been in the game. They're like, oh, so you're going to be doing, you want some BS windows. Right? Oh, I got you. So it's a one-stop shop. Now, another thing is, let's say I'm building my tower and I got to deal with the city council and all that. You guys help with that too.
Right. We get involved in just about every aspect of the project. like I say, we build what you want. We can make what you want. We have our entire in-house engineering staff. We submit drawings to architects, engineers, the city all the time to get approval. We have really good working relationships with those around us. And if not, we're firefighters. At the end of the day, we can get our way through.
Brothers helping brothers, brothers and sisters helping brothers. Sorry.
Come on now.
I know. I got to
Come
get
on.
with it. My wife's not here, so I can sing it. She can hear me. I don't care where she's
Yeah.
at.
You're done.
I tell you, yeah. But I've seen some towers that the strength of the tower is based on the exterior alone. One of the things I love about fire facilities is the red steel skeleton. I call it red steel skeleton, man. Tell me about that.
It's just tough at the end of the day. We come in here, we have a display up, obviously, of our red iron. It's a lot of fun. You see people come up to it, pound it, and then they look at their fists like, that hurts a little bit. It's just kind of, at the core what we're about. We make a product to last. We've got the non-prorated warranties. We're proud to warranty, what's a defect, but we don't typically have a lot of claims, just because of, what we build with, who we build, and how we manufacture it. It's all done in-house. Yeah, it's really strong stuff.
The department I worked for, I'm not going to mention its name, and I'm not going to mention the tower people who made the tower, but it was a Connex style. I'm not shitting on Connex. There's some people out there that make it. There's a market for that, right? But my particular one was horrible, and the customer service literally stopped the second I left. They left after building it, and it doesn't seem to hold up as well as you all in your red steel.
We just had an interesting one real quick.
Yeah.
Someone came up today. We have a Connex. We had a competitor's liner in it. We want your liner. They purchased our liner.
The West Tech?
The West Tech. How do we line this? We just walk through it right here. I mean, we have all of our techs. Everyone knows how to do everything, which is why I love fire facility. Sat down, drew a little detail, got their card, sent them the detail today. They're going to reline it themselves, but that's just a true testament to who we are as a company. We can help anybody.
Customer service.
Right.
I mean, you truly care. The company truly cares about the firefighter,
right.
The citizens that they protect, and the firefighters are going to be trained in it. And that, I mean, how many people do that? How many people say, "Oh no, you got to buy this, you got to buy that"? No, you truly help because you know that there's some people that limited funds, right? And you're trying to help as best you can. That's great. Let's talk about the West Tech a little bit. This is what I would push my mom down a flight of stairs for a good set. Well, I'm just saying, she's an equal woman. West Tech liner. So West Tech has it's 15 year, and it's not prorated.
Not prorated. So that means anytime in those 15 years, if it fails, call us.
What temperature can it take?
So we can go all the way up to. It's listed for 1800. We'd like to see people burn at 1200.
Yeah.
So, the reason being is one, firefighter safety. Number one, you don't need to burn at 1800. You don't need to burn at 1200.
No.
We understand it can get to there at some point. A lot of times you see flame impingement, and so with our systems, we have the barometer inside to monitor temperature. We just ask that you keep that barometer on, so we can get through the warranty process with you. But it's more about your safety, firefighter safety, the people using the tower safety, than it is our warranty. We want you to utilize the tower for what you need to use it for within the parameters set out. But temperature monitoring is super important. Whether
Woo. I know a couple people try to reach that.
I can tell you a couple ways to do it. Wouldn't recommend them, but
Well, the beauty of it is, let's say you run your 15 years, everything's going to be great, obviously, and you want new liners. You don't have to change it. You don't have to get a new building. You don't have to do anything but take down the old liners, put in the new liners.
it's easy. It's super easy.
I'm not a fan of paginite. I'm not a fan of that paginite.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've burned in buildings and they go, listen, these tiles are all cracked, so don't spray up there.
That's the point.
Exactly.
Right.
You shouldn't have to do it. And then you see paginites on door sills and stuff, and sometimes that's fine, I guess. But I do, for my money, West Tech all the way.
If you just have to monitor temperature, that's it. Not worry about where you're spraying water. Just do one thing and be able to train how you need to train. Get your burns done in the fashion that you want to do them, and you use it often. You always recommend people to burn. That's what you bought the burner for. Keep it within the constraints and get your training and get your reps.
Do you get a lot of requests? I mean, what's the weirdest request that you've gotten to change the structure?
As far as adding on to a structure, or
Just like okay, like I'll tell you one that like if I was going to buy a fire facilities, one of my things would be have windows that are like some of the newer houses that they go from floor to
floor to
is
ceiling.
that something you all could do?
Yeah, we could, so we have the in-house engineers. So yes, anything is customizable. It would take a little bit of drafting time, not a big deal.
And that's going to cost a lot more, though, right? Set him up. It doesn't cost anything extra, brother.
Buy one, get two, right? So we can customize anything about the towers. My favorite thing, though, is when we have a smaller department, maybe come in and, hey, they want a 1 to 2 story. That's what the funds can allow. Yeah, absolutely, we'll do ever that. And they say, hey, we might be interested in adding on a feature. Okay, let us know that up front. When you go to add on, call us back. We've had a 2-story tower, put next to it a 4-story staircase, attach the buildings together, and now you have a structure capable of doing everything in your department. As your funds become available, it's not a one-stop shop. We're not selling it and then just see you later. If you want to add on to it, let us know. We can.
Funny you should say that. One of my favorite fire facility stories was, and I think I've already told it on here, but you guys are going to listen again. It's my podcast. Is we went down to Sierra Vista, Arizona, and I can't think of the model. It's a smaller model, one story. Another shout out to Caleb Mousy, training chief down there. But we go in there for the day before class set up, me and my brother Gilbert, and we walk through it, and it looked like it was a few years old, but not very. And so we're walking through, and everything's looking good. And I looked at the Chief Mousy, and I said, wow, how old is this? He goes, 20 years. It was 20 years old. Every room, every aspect of it, you could still burn in. But to tie it all into what you just said, he goes, yeah, we already talked to the fire facilities. We're thinking about adding on to it. And I'm like, there you go. So you don't have to come out swinging hard for the commissioner. You can, if the funds are so that you're going to have to parcel it out, and you can. Me personally, adding on to me seems like a great idea because you're really making that a special, personalized unit, knowing what you want.
Right. Well, and the nice thing too is, we always talk about adding on as going out. We can add on up. It's a little bit more structural engineering, but we can do that. We're custom-made steel fire towers, and so it's not just out; it's up too. Which as cities, municipalities get older, they start to see some of the maybe 4-story hotels come into town. Well, that 4-story stair tower is pretty important to have if you're going to go into a hotel like that. And so, along with that, we can retrofit a standpipe system in so you can work on water delivery, what it looks like at each floor level. It's pretty exciting what we can do with our towers, but just the fact that you can call us and we can walk you through everything, I think that's what's most important about it.
There's not a whole lot of no's coming from fire facilities. That's right. What I'm getting.
Right.
Now, I got to make a point.
Oh boy. Here
we go. Buckle up, sir. Now, all the steel is American made.
100%. Everything in the tower is American made.
See if you agree with me on this one. If you don't, just tell me. If you don't like fire facilities and you're a communist heathen, is that fair? Are we going to go there?
I have to be politically correct.
Okay.
You can do what you want. It's your
communist heathens.
Hey. I just,
You got to be nice.
I got to be kosher, right? Yeah. I like my job.
Yeah.
It's an excellent job.
I'd say that's a nice job, and I want to keep my job with fire facilities, so I guess I'm still not going to cut it out.
Made in the USA. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. Which served my country. I love that whole United States thing.
Thank you.
I don't know about hero, sir, but thank you for saying that. But
hero.
I think it matters. I think having everything made in the United States is important. It's probably easier to get too.
Well, sometimes, yeah. It's a different quality, right? And we know that we can back that quality. And the nice part is we do a lot of manufacturing in-house, so all the reforming, all that's in-house. So we have control. We have total control of that tower. It's not parts and pieces subbed out everywhere. We have control of that tower.
As many as I've been in, they're so well made. You can literally stand inside this tower, any of the towers I've been in, and see how well made the structure is. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's really not going anywhere. You have certain Connex boxes that have burned over and over, and I'm not hammering on them. I'm just trying to compare apples to apples here.
I appreciate that.
They get crispy. They get a little crispy, and I know they're made to replace and everything.
Right.
But what if you spend a little more for the tower to last lot longer.
Right.
I mean,
we have a lot of towers, 20 plus years, still in service. And
Yep.
so that's just a testament, one, to the quality of our product, but two is, really sit down and maybe detail out what that Connex is going to cost to replace. And I can't confidently give you a time frame on how long that Connex is going to last. But if you start looking at replacement over and over again, why don't you get a tower that's going to last, and then you know everything about that tower instead of a new Connex every single time. And you got to watch out for the Connexes too. Sometimes you see them actually come off of container ships, so they've been used for a different purpose and then repurposed.
yes.
That's dangerous.
It is, and I understand that some departments, there's a market for them, and I'm not crushing on them. I mean, again, had Todd Shepard not too long ago on here, but I feel like you need to look at the big picture. And here's the thing: you can get on their website, look at all the places, big places, LA and Chicago, and then smaller places, and you can actually contact them and see what they think of their tower, and you're going to get positive feedback.
Right. Yeah, we do a ton of testimonials. We got a lot actually coming here at FDIC. We got prizes, door prizes for everyone that does a testimonial for us. But not only that, here in the near future, we're looking at coming out on our website with a total walkthrough. So we call it an immersive experience. We actually have one here. You can come see it at our booth. I can run the computer for you, but you can walk through these towers and kind of see what they look like in real time. So there's a little firefighter on the screen and a little screen walkthrough. You can go all the way up to the 4th floor, up in the parapet, look down, kind of see what you're working with, and really take a peek at what you're going to buy before you buy it. We want you to be totally confident before you make that decision. If you want changes, we can accommodate anything.
Like I said, there's hardly any no's at fire facilities unless it's give me tower for free.
Except for that hot wing challenge. That was a no from me.
You're not going to do the hot wing?
I got 2 years to prepare for it.
Oh man, yeah. Dave Mellon does a great job. That'll be tomorrow.
Dave and I will meet Kansas City and do it there.
There you go. He's going to record it.
Well, I assume so. I'll probably be the one crying.
I want to wrap up with 2 great, brilliant ideas that I want to sell to you, and they're very expensive ideas. You can't just steal them, okay?
But this is where we start to say no.
Damn it!
Shoot at you.
Okay, fine. You can have them for free. All right, here we go. Now, what if you had a small building attached to this, optional, right? And it was a sprinkler building, standpipe sprinkler. So you have sprinkler heads everywhere. You got standpipes. So it's really useful. But both sides have roll-up doors. You can use it for decon for live fire. You can literally walk through with all the sprinklers hitting you and do some emergency decon. And you can even throw truck brushes and soap in there if you wanted to. But imagine coming straight from the fire. Not only will that help cool you down a little bit,
right,
but you're washing off those carcinogens as much as you can, and then maybe at the end of the day you can go back in there to really get at it. Just that's one thought. What do you think?
I actually don't hate it. I think it's a really good idea. So when it comes down to it, as we kind of advance in the industry, through the fire department, fire training industry, decon is becoming super important. There's been tons of studies about it. And it's time that we adapt to it as well. Not just we as fire facilities, but in industry, everyone kind of bands together into it. But I think decon is super important. So I don't hate the idea.
So, but if I'm reading between the lines, you think I'm super intelligent and handsome.
Can't confirm.
There's that no. I got a couple no's locked in there.
I can't confirm.
Yeah, it's
Or
a no.
deny.
Last one. Graded floor.
No hot tub?
Oh, okay. I got 3 ideas. The next one is a hot tub, okay, with like multiple taps for craft beer. Yes, no.
Well, the hot tub itself would be okay. The craft beer kind of threw it over the edge because when you're using these, you're on the clock. So you got to. No. So that means the next one's a yes. What do you got?
It's got to be a yes. Graded floor. Small space underneath. You put buckets under different configurations to show where water collects for water mapping.
I think that would be easy.
So again, you think I'm one of the smartest, most handsome people in this entire area.
Well, if you keep giving me ideas like this, then I don't really need to do anything.
I didn't say anything about giving. I didn't say giving. I said.
I got it now. We already got the patent. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I've been working on that for years.
We're close. No, I think as water mapping becomes bigger in the industry, everyone's hot topic focused on it right now.
Yep.
Again, it's easy to implement. You just have to do it.
Fire Facilities has the best product, the best service, the best people, and cutting edge stuff. And the only no's that I've heard so far are some of the ideas involve me. So, but I will say this: Has Dave Mellon brought any ideas to you? Dave, ball's in your court, brother. I know.
It'll just keep getting crazier and crazier.
Brother, I appreciate you
Awesome.
being on, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Today's podcast was sponsored by Fire Facilities, industry-leading designers and manufacturers of realistic, built-to-last training structures for more than 30 years. Make your training count. Visit firefacilities.com for more information.